Hey there, my name's Nick. I'm the Mystic Next Door, and today I want to talk about how to prevent burnout. This is a topic that I get asked about all the time, either because the person is right in the middle of the burnout and wanting to figure out how to get out of there, or because they've been there a bunch of times and they want to figure out how to not be there ever again. I can tell you from experience, I've burned out more times than I care to admit, and it took me a long time to figure out the patterns behind this. I have a lot to say on the topic because it's contrary to popular belief. This goes way beyond self-care. Self-care is certainly part of it, but it's actually a very small part of it when it comes to preventing this pattern in your life or getting out of it if you're already in there. So I made a few notes on the screen here to keep myself on track, but I want to tick through this to give you a really good overview of what to look for and how to prevent this in your life. One of the gifts of burnout is that it opens up an opportunity for a new level of self-awareness, a new level of insight into what actually caused this. You do not, I want to say this right now, you do not need to burn out in order to gain this sense of awareness. And that's one of the things that kind of keeps people in that pattern is because they do get to revisit their lives and look at things from a really different perspective. And so they actually have this kind of hidden misunderstanding that I have to push myself to that point in order to get that insight. That is absolutely 100% not true. There are really healthy ways to do that. And so I want to talk about that for sure. Before we get to that, though, we want to talk about what burnout actually is. And it is simply a breakdown of your internal systems. So different people burn out for different reasons. That's for sure. We're all different. We're all unique. So what I'm going to do here is just give you a few of the most common causes that I've seen along the way and helping a lot of people through this process and working through it myself. And if you want to explore this further, how this looks uniquely in your life, all you have to do is let me know and we can take it from there. We can definitely open up that conversation. One of the biggest underlying causes here is actually your self-image. And that one can be a little sneaky because self-image, if you think about self-image as your lens for life, and you're just looking through this lens, and that is how you see the world and the role that you play in that world. So if you identify, it's like the way that we identify. If you identify as the hard worker, the one who has to work, you're going to constantly be trying to work really hard and outwork everybody else in order to keep that image in place. And that can be exhausting. That can cause you to push beyond your limitations, to not give yourself the things that you need in order to have it be sustainable. And so it winds up being this roller coaster ride. That's kind of traumatic, right? Of pushing and then crashing, right? Pushing and then crashing. And you finally get a vacation and then you get sick for your vacation because that's the first chance that your body and brain have to really be like, hey, time for a time out here. I'm so glad that we have the rest. And it's like a forced reset. You might identify as the fixer, the one who needs to fix everything, right? And fix everybody else and be responsible for everybody else's happiness, right? The one who everybody else counts on. And when you start to step out of that role, like that when you look at that as an identity, that becomes a very scary thing. And your brain has a hard time reconciling that because that is who you believe you are. So it's when you examine this, it's understanding, well, what are the patterns driving this? What is the role in my life that I'm playing out that's causing this to be? Oftentimes it becomes about the surface stuff. I have to do it because of money. I have to do it because I'm providing. I have to do it because everybody's counting on me. And we don't get a chance to really look at the hidden decisions that we've made about who we are and what our role is in the world. And when we don't do that, the pattern plays out again and again and again. And it's sneaky, because oftentimes the circumstances are different. So it looks a little bit different. It looks different enough for our brain to say like, oh no, that won't happen this time. And it does. And if you've been there like I have, like many of the people that I've worked with have, you know that sooner or later you come around and you're done with it. You want something different. So self-image is actually a really, really important part of that, not just understanding the self-image or the lens that you're currently operating from, but also deciding what it is that you really want to be. And this is what I've seen quiet quitting come up around this. It's weird to me that quitting has to be, part of it, to have that conversation. But what's happening there really is people are just looking at their lives from a holistic perspective and understanding that their life is actually really valuable, and that their jobs are not actually, really supporting the wholeness of that and demanding too much of them, without compensation, without respect, or, a whole host of other things. So they go quiet quitting. Which, hey, go for you. If you're, living your life for the weekend, there's a whole lot of your life that is not really being lived fully. And if that's something that you'd like to have more of, you're in the right place. More life, more joy, more happiness throughout. So the other piece of this is self-respect, right? This is kind of a hidden one. Self-respect, if you've burned out, somewhere along the way, I guarantee you have disrespected your own needs, right? Your boundaries in life. I guarantee that your body gave you signals along the way. Your brain had signals as well, or it had certain inklings about, hey, this is not going to work. This is something's gonna happen here. We've gotten warnings around the way, and we've really disrespected that. We've either just ignored it completely, or just kind of discounted, like, oh, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later, until health crisis. For me, it was just anxiety attacks, like severe anxiety attacks, and just to the point of being debilitated, and then the depression that followed that. That was what burnout looked for me. It looks a little different for everybody. So, what's needed here, and one of the things that really changed this is a really deep level of self-respect. It's developing that self-respect involves really understanding what you want in your life, what you want your life to be, and respecting yourself enough to realize that, hey, that actually really matters, and giving yourself permission to have that. Permission to have what you want. It sounds really simple, but it's actually life-changing. Another part of this is really understanding your needs so that you can learn to fulfill those needs in a healthy way. Right? We're all kind of addicted to our needs, right? And oftentimes we go to fill those in unhealthy ways because we just don't realize, what we're doing. So if somebody has a high need for significance, like they need to know that their life matters. And this isn't just a story you're telling yourself. You've built an identity around this. And when that gets threatened, if you think that, you don't matter, your work doesn't matter, that's very damaging. So understanding that if you're constantly depleting yourself, ignoring your needs, not giving yourself the space or the time to replenish, and just running yourself ragged because you want to feel like you matter and your work matters. Well, it's really important to learn how to fulfill that need in a healthy way, in a way that does not run you down to the ground. Another common one is a need for approval. Right? This is not a weakness. This is not something that's wrong with you if you have a need for approval. This is understanding that this is kind of like food for you. And when you are constantly taking care of other people and ignoring your own needs because you have this need, for them to approve you and accept you, then you're like a drug addict, kind of looking for that next fix again and again and again, and all the while you're neglecting you're really not fulfilling it in a healthy way, right? You're doing it at a cost to yourself, and over time that really takes a toll. Again, health crisis, mental breakdown, whatever it might be for you. So it's also, one last thing here is it's really important to do a thorough assessment of yourself and how these different things pull on you and control your behavior in life so that you can make newer, healthier choices for yourself. These are just a few of the things that play into burnout, and really it's a beautiful opportunity if you're in it right now. It's a beautiful opportunity to revisit everything in your life and to really take stock of your priorities. And you don't have to do that by yourself, right? You found your way here. There are support and resources available for you. I'd love to be a part of that conversation. So if you found this valuable, just check out my website, go there, and definitely open up a conversation so we can see what works best for you, what will really help you and support you to build the life that you want. I'd love to be a part of that conversation. My name's Nick. I'm the Mystic Next Door, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Peace.